yesterday some of the students came for practical demo how we are isolating the microorganism from various samples, even water, milk or soil, all it is same protocol. I have referred some of the website, it was very good. Time, okay? I need half day to give the demo for microbiology practicals, okay? With a hurriedly, I have shown the things how we can isolate the microorganism from the other sample. Just one video clip is there. Once let it go over, then I'll give the talk on presentation. Is it okay? Yes, ma'am.
Used to isolate, propagate, or enumerate microorganisms like bacteria and phage. Procedures include streak plating bacterial cultures to isolate single colonies, pour plating to determine concentration of bacteria, and spread plating to enumerate viable bacterial colonies. Soft agar overlays are used to isolate phage and enumerate plaques, while replica plating transfers cells from one plate to another in an identical spatial pattern. Ultimately, the practical applications of these techniques to culture microorganisms range from identification of bacteria in environments to technological advances in molecular genetics and high-throughput bioassays.
Generally, individuals new to these plating methods may struggle because the manipulations require careful and coordinated movements, avoiding contact with non-sterile surfaces. Learning these routine procedures calls for training and practice. Demonstrating the procedures will be my laboratory coordinator, Dr. Chris Wright.
Begin work with microorganisms by knowing the laboratory rules and safety precautions, including biohazard classification, waste decontamination, and disposal. Confirm that all instruments, solutions, and media for plating procedures are sterile. Also establish a clear workspace. Clean it with disinfectant. Set up a Bunsen burner with a tube attached to a gas line. Arrange the necessary supplies with materials labeled properly. Proceed to wash hands thoroughly with antiseptic soap and warm water. First, wet hands with warm, running water, then apply and thoroughly distribute soap. Vigorously rub hands, generating friction on all surfaces, including thumbs, backs of fingers, backs of the hands, and beneath the fingernails. Then, rinse thoroughly to remove residual soap, and dry using paper towels dispensed from a holder. Finally, with a fresh paper towel, shut off the faucet. The streak plate procedure is designed to isolate pure cultures of bacteria, or colonies, from mixed populations by simple mechanical separation. Remove an agar plate from a 4 degrees Celsius cold box and pre-warm to room temperature. Select a tool from the array of instruments for streaking the plate. Make sure the plate is dry without condensation on the lid. Label the bottom of an agar plate around the edge. When proficient, use a single plate for multiple samples. Then, light a Bunsen burner to flame the metal loop. Start 3 to 4 inches from the metal loop with the wire in the tip of the blue cone, the hottest part of the Bunsen burner flame. When the metal becomes red hot, move the wire so the flame approaches the loop. To cool the loop, touch the edge of the agar medium, generating a sizzling sound. Continue to pick up the inoculum on the loop. Lift the bottom half of the plate. Move the loop back and forth from the rim to the center in the first quadrant of the plate. Set down the inverted plate back onto the lid. flame the metal loop. Turn the Petri dish 90 degrees. Touch the loop near the end of the last streak. Using the back and forth pattern, cross over the last half of the streaks in the first quadrant, then move into the empty second quadrant. Once the second quadrant is filled, set down the plate. Repeat the streaking procedure for the third and fourth quadrants while avoiding contact with the first quadrant. For streaking with a sterile flat toothpick, hold the narrow end gently between thumb and ring finger. At a 10 to 20 degree angle to the medium, use the wide end to streak the quadrants. Invert the plate back onto the lid between quadrants and dispose of the toothpick appropriately. Proceed to incubate the streaked plates upside down. The pour plate procedure enumerates the total number of colony-forming units on the surface and within the agar of a single plate. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Then, transfer 18 milliliters of melted agar medium from a 55 degrees Celsius water bath to a 48 degrees Celsius heat block and equilibrate for 10 minutes. Label the bottom of a sterile Petri dish. If applicable, include dilution factor. Now dispense 1 milliliter of sample into the middle of the Petri dish. Close the lid. Remove the cap from the tube of melted agar and pass the rim of the open tube through a flame. Pour the agar carefully into the Petri dish. Close the lid, then mix the sample with the agar by gently swirling the plate. Wait for 30 minutes to allow the agar to solidify. Once the agar has solidified, invert and place the plate in a warm room. Spread plating aims to separate microorganisms contained within a small sample volume, distributing resultant colonies evenly across the agar surface. Equilibrate a plate to room temperature and label appropriately. Position the plate on the turntable. Pipette 0.1 milliliters of sample onto the center of the agar and close the lid. Eject the tip into a waste container. Dip the metal rod into a beaker of 70% ethanol, covering the entire bottom portion of the spreader and the first inch of the stem, and then drain. Ignite excess ethanol by passing through the flame of the Bunsen burner. Next, open the lid of the agar plate and cool the spreader by touching it to the agar along the edge near the rim. Spin the turntable slowly. Holding the spreader gently on the surface of the agar, gradually spread the sample evenly over the entire plate using a back and forth motion while the turntable is spinning. Close the lid and allow the sample to absorb thoroughly for at least 5 minutes. Then, incubate the inverted plate. First, label the agar plate appropriately. Open the lid of the agar plate. Then, open the container of pre-sterilized glass beads and flame the rim. Carefully dispense 10 to 12 sterile glass beads onto an agar plate. Close the lid of the plate and flame the rim of the glass bead container before replacing the cap. Now, pipette the sample onto the center of the agar. In a horizontal motion, gently shake the beads across the surface of the agar 7 times. If done properly, the procedure sounds like shaking maracas. Rotate the plate 60 degrees and horizontally shake again 7 times. Again, rotate the plate 60 degrees and repeat shaking. Verify that the sample is absorbed. Then, pour off the contaminated beads into a marked collection beaker containing 10% chlorine bleach. Incubate the inverted plate. The plaque assay is commonly used to detect and quantify bacteriophage. Culture the indicator bacteria to exponential phase and store on ice. Then, Label 2 sterile microcentrifuge tubes, phage and control, and add 50 microliters of phage sample or buffer respectively to each. Next, swirl the bacterial culture in the flask, then transfer an aliquot of bacteria to a sterile tube and gently vortex the indicator bacteria. Then, add 500 microliters of bacteria to each absorption tube. Mix by gently flicking the tubes. Never vortex or vigorously pipette phage samples. Incubate the phage bacteria mixture at a temperature appropriate for the indicator strain for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, transfer 2 soft agar tubes from a 55 degrees Celsius water bath to a 48 degrees Celsius heating block. Equilibrate for 10 minutes. Label 2 condensation-free nutrient hard agar plates pre-equilibrated to room temperature. Remove a soft agar tube from the heat block and check that the contents are not too hot to touch. Next, aseptically transfer the mixture from the phage absorption tube to the soft agar tube. Then, rapidly rotate between palms to mix the contents. With the tube in one hand, open the lid of the hard agar plate with the other hand. Immediately pour the entire contents of the tube onto the surface of a hard agar plate. Rock the plate swiftly and gently. Close the lid and place the plate on a level surface for 30 minutes until the soft agar solidifies. Next, repeat the procedure for the control absorption tube by transferring the control mixture into a soft agar tube, mixing it, pouring the contents onto a hard agar plate, rocking that, and allowing the soft agar to solidify for 30 minutes. Inspect the plates for plaque formation. To isolate a plaque from a heterogeneous mixture, carefully punch the center with a sterile toothpick and transfer the inoculum into a sterile microcentrifuge tube containing 100 microliters of phage buffer. Continue to purify this lysate by repeating the plaque assay 3 to 6 times with serial dilutions as necessary. Replica plating exploits a selectable phenotype by permitting comparison of cell growth on a primary plate to secondary plates. Mark a grid on the bottom of the plate, label the primary plate, and number the resulting squares. Now, use aseptic technique to remove a pre-sterilized toothpick from the beaker. Dab the center of each square with a cell sample, and dispose of the toothpick in an appropriate waste receptacle. Incubate the primary plate. Stack the primary plate and all the secondary plates. Place an orientation mark on the side of the bottom half of the plates. Now, remove a sterile velveteen cloth from its wrapper and place it on the cylindrical block. Next, place the holder, aligning the marks on the holder with those on the block. Note the orientation mark on the block and holder. Next, remove the lid from the primary plate. Line up the orientation marks on the plate and the block. Lower the plate so that the surface of the agar contacts the velveteen cloth. Using fingertips, lightly but evenly press down on the back of the primary plate and then carefully lift it off the block. Confirm that the imprint of the cells can be seen on the velvet. Replace the lid on the plate. Now, sequentially repeat the protocol on the velveteen cloth with each of the secondary plates. Use the velvet impression of cells from the primary plate to inoculate up to 8 secondary plates, ordered from least to most favorable substrate. Finally, as a positive control, for the last plate in the series, use agar medium in which all strains tested should grow. Tape the inverted plates together and incubate them. Inspect the secondary plates for growth. Turn off the Bunsen burner, then put away all supplies.
We are doing the work near the aseptic conditions. Okay? Some of the students, they have saw the instrument, laminar flow. The name of the instrument? laminar airflow. We should not do any microorganism in open area. It will contaminate our environment, is it? So then that the flame and all is then going, they are doing the experiment near the flame for sterilization. So whenever you are touching the microorganisms, the needle should be sterilized. We can call it as heat incineration. That also one type of sterilization. Otherwise, we are isolating maybe different type of microorganisms. It will contaminate. Suppose Bacillus cereus-2, we are isolating E. coli means it will contaminate. You will get mixed culture. Okay. So, any doubt on this video clip? Yesterday, some student came for the practical demo. They may relate this. Is it? So now I will go for my presentation. Then we will come for the discussion. Okay. So let me know. Today I am talking about. We are talking on microbiology. Who is the father of microbiology? Okay. Who invented the microscope? Okay. You know pasteurization?
Yes.
Okay, good. So all are brilliant only. Okay. So who developed the vaccine for anthrax and the cholera? Is it correct? Okay. Microbiology means what is that? You can define microbiology. So all are well prepared and came for the class. I think is good. Okay. so prokaryotics, it will come under bacteria. So eukaryotic, algae, fungi, and protozoa. Bacteria is a unicellular. Fungi, algae, protozoa, and multicellular. Okay. So same thing only I was written. Okay. Next slide. Okay, bacteria will be present on everywhere? Yes. Even in your hands?
Yes.
Everywhere. So even our industry?
Yes.
Without bacteria, what will happen? If our industry no bacteria, what will happen? Yeah, yes. When we will get the diarrhea and all, doctor will give the some probiotic tablet, you know? You have probiotic tablet? Okay, they will give, they will substitute, they will growing the, when after diarrhea now, so intestine will be, that pH also very less. So digestion problem will be there to enhance the growth of bacteria. So generally they will get probiotic and tablet they will give. Okay. So bacteria always it is harmful or useful? Both. So can you explain what are the useful and harmful? Let's see, you are yeah.
Antibiotics.
Okay. Bacteria will produce even antibiotics. Then decomposition. So suppose we are disposing our all the waste. So if bacteria is not present, now what will happen? Full pollution. Okay. It will decompose. After decompose, what? You can use it as a manure. Is a fertilizer. You can use it as a organic fertilizer. Okay. Then bacteria will grow on various temperatures. So you know already these are the terms: psychrophilic, mesophilic, and thermophilic. Psychrophilic means in the cold temperature. We may think why we are storing the food in the refrigerator conditions. To try to avoid the adaptation. Even though some kind of bacteria will grow on even psychrophilic conditions. No? Even we can store the food material today, even after 2 days, the taste will differ. Then even store it in the refrigerator condition, that food will be after 2 days, some type of, like staphylococcus, bacillus, E. coli, all kind of microorganisms will grow on even psychrophilic conditions. But then mesophilic bacteria, room temperature. Okay. Then thermophilic bacteria, high temperature. Even day to day, the food, especially bread and all, after 15 days, you may see some kind of color will be changed, some green color. What is that? Yeah, it is become the green color become, we can say aspergillus niger. If turned into black color, we will say, generally that is species name, we will say Aspergillus niger. Okay, Aspergillus flavus, and it will become green. Even coconut and all now, we can open it and keep it in the room temperature. Sometimes it will become green, then sometimes it will turn into black also. So it is Aspergillus niger and Aspergillus flavus. Sometimes like white color will be there. No, that and all fusarium, one kind of species. Okay. So the pH also in the different the different pHs also bacteria will be there. Is it? For in our intestine, always the pH range will be in the acidic condition or alkali condition and neutrophils. In our intestine, always in the pH will be always in the neutral conditions. Is it? Okay. It should be too acidic. You make some gastric, all the things like indigestion, all the things. So based on the pH, it is acidophilic and neutrophils and alkalinophils. Okay. Next. Yeah. Then bacteria, based on the oxygen requirements, we will, even without oxygen, bacteria will grow. It will grow. Yeah, the term you will say anaerobic conditions. So with the presence of oxygen, yeah. And then some kind of bacteria, even with the presence of E. coli, Escherichia coli, but apart from that, day to day we are drinking water now. Why they are treating the water with the fluorinated conditions? Yeah. So all the water is coming from the lake or river and all now. So a lot of fecal matters will be there. Okay. So that's why we are treating the water we are drinking. So that when we will, if without boiling, some kind of E. coli will be there. So that's why always we will drink in the boiled water. Okay. The microorganism we are destroying it and we are drinking. Okay. And the listeria and all mostly will be found on the presence of milk. Okay. And listeria monocytogenes that mostly found on milk. That's why we are sterilization of milk. We are doing the heating the milk, then only we can drink. If we can drink as such, this kind of listeria monocytogenes, that kind of bacteria mostly give us body. Then the structure and classification of bacteria after gram staining. Some of the students yesterday you saw the gram staining techniques, na? Okay. So same protocol only. Then bacteria shape and all you may be knowing. Bacteria shape, how it will be when we see through microscope, how it will look. Circular, concave and rod shape. So I was given some kind of Staphylococcus aureus. It looks like some grape-like structure. Suppose Bacillus anthracis and Bacillus coagulans, all the Bacillus species, it looks like in rod in shape. In Vibrio cholera, mostly found in Vibrio cholera and what? In rainy season, we will feel now all the area, this and that. Mostly water in the Vibrio cholera, you know. Cholera, contaminated water, we will face the problem due to Vibrio cholera only. That it will be, when we can see through the microscope, it will be in the curved shape. Okay. Next. Isolation of bacteria from samples. Any kind of samples, almost same protocol. Okay. Even water, our soil, or anything, any kind of sample, if you want to test for bacteria, similar protocol. Okay. So this isolation and that, anyway, some of the students you came for the yesterday experiment. So today, remaining batch you are going to come. We will show you the demo there. So first we will isolation and inoculation, incubation and identification. You can relate in the clip. Already I show you that how they have taken the sample, all the things for it. Why that looks like yellow color and white color all? Not stain. Here the stain won't come. This is Petri plates. Yesterday some of the students have seen Petri plates. First we will sterilize the Petri plates. Then we can add the media. Then we can add the culture. then you can incubate at respective temperature, then you will get the growth. This all yellow color. Why this looks like yellow? That also bacteria only. Why? Some kind of bacteria, even it will produce the pigment. So that orange, it's nothing but carotenoids. We can say carotenoids, some kind of. Mostly even salt-loving bacteria, mostly it will produce the pigments. Okay, when even our leather, in the raw heads and skin, immediately we will apply on salt. Why we are applying on salt? When leather institute, raw heads and skin, we will add immediately.
Cleanse all the bacteria.
Yes. So preservation, that is that. Even salt, we are using the salt-loving bacteria, mostly Serratia, Sarcina, Micrococcus. These kind of microorganisms, it will produce the pigment. So if we can identify the pigment. We can use it, but if not harmful, that micro pigment, we can use it as a coloring agent. Okay? We can use it as, even leather industry, we are using lot of dyes and pigments. So we can isolate the colors and pigments from even this kind of bacteria and fungi also. Okay. So next slide. Yeah. So in any experiment before isolation, we have to do the sterilization. As such we can't do. So we can sterilize the glassware, we can sterilize the media, then only we can do the experimental. Okay. So these are the generally for bacteria we will use nutrient agar medium. Okay. Yesterday you have seen the medium now. So for fungi, for isolation of fungi, generally we will use potato dextrose agar. Okay. Protocol will be more or less same. Already the previous clip, we can isolate the bacteria from 3 methods. Already, what are the methods? 4 plate methods, 3 plate and spread plate. Yeah. So 4 plate means now you know. First you can add the sample, add your media. Then why they are flocking anti-clockwise and clockwise, they are rotating the plate. So to mix the culture uniformly. Otherwise, after half an hour, the medium becomes solidified. Okay? Particular place only you get numerous growth. You can't count the colonies. Okay? And then that lady is sitting in front of laminar chamber. Same thing in our lab also is there. You can do it in the aseptic conditions near the flame. Okay? That is autoclave. All the glasswares and medium should be sterilized at 121 degrees centigrade for 15 psi for 15 to 20 minutes. So all the microorganisms will be destroyed or killed. Okay. So that all the next. Okay, the same thing on already video clip. That is the pouring the media, 4 plate method. First one, we are spreading the media. Next one, we can stick the medium in the zigzag manner. Okay? The spread plate and 4 plate, you will get numerous growth. When you do the stick plate, first you will get the numerous culture. In the end, you will get single quality. You can isolate the pure culture in this method. Other remaining method also you can do it. That is sticking method, it is easy. Okay? Next. So this is serial dilution. So you know serial dilution. Yesterday I told almost all theory. I put in a practical. That's why you can hear. Even though you all are brilliant. Okay. So serial dilution. You tell me why you want to do the serial dilution? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Over almost. Okay. So serial dilution, the first stop sample, if you are doing the numerous growth will be there. If you are serially diluting, in the end of the dilution, you will get single culture. Okay, single quality. Easy to isolate, and we can do all biochemical assay. Then we can know the type of the bacteria. If present on the sample, maybe Bacillus subtilis, E. coli or Pseudomonas, whatever bacteria present on that, we can say the result. Okay. Next. And this already you have seen 4-plate method, stick plate method. Next. Yeah, stick plate method, same thing. Yeah. So that is okay. Previous one, that the bacterial culture, when you will do the 4-plate method, that surface, you can make out the difference in the medium and colony. You can make out the medium and colony. Yesterday you have seen that. Okay. So that is liquid medium also, we can grow the bacteria. Next. Yeah, gram staining technique. Who invented the gram staining? Already it is there. Yeah, yesterday it was. Yeah. Christian Gram in 1884. Why generally they have used these techniques? Why they have used this? Various staining technique is there. Symbol staining, gram positive staining, gram negative staining. Yeah, this one differential staining. At that time you can do one staining technique. You can make out the culture whether it is gram positive or it is gram negative. Okay. Based on the color we can make out. If gram positive, how that looks like color? Yeah, crystal violet. If negative? Yeah, pink. Next. Yeah, this is the protocol. Yesterday you have seen. Some of the students today you come to my lab, we will show you the demo. Next. Yeah, this is the character, the difference between gram positive and gram negative. I told you only one difference. The scientific way, lot of difference is there. If you want, you can learn later. Yeah, thank you.
There are any questions? Just 1 or 2 questions only you can allow because we are standing behind the stage. Any questions? Specific questions on Tamilselvi madam? Okay, if there are no questions, please give a big applause to Tamilselvi madam.